We inspect the strut itself for broken coils or leaking oil from the strut itself, which are the signs that you need to replace it. Check the other bars and make sure that you lube it before. WD-40 or any penetrating oil, all the bolts that we're gonna change, stabilizer upper, lower, and the hub carrier bolts. We dismantle the wires of the ABS and the brake sensors. If you want to use the same strut again, make sure that you paint the area so the camber bolt will come back in the same place as it is. This is the caster, this is towing, and what we affect when you change the strut is the camber. That's why we have, this is the camber. That's why we have the digital meter with the raised car without any lift or jack beneath it. I put mark on the disc, so I put it again in the same place. Once I finish, I measure the angle so I can put it in the same angle again. Of course, I can use the digital meter to make sure that I'm back to the same angle, or I can use the air bubble camber device, but in the air bubble I have to zero it like this. I put it in a place that is straight, it's not on an edge. I zero it on this position so I can put it back to the zero position once I install the new strut. So I have both the digital or the air. You can use whatever like you want, but I just wanted to show how it can be done. Don't forget to mark the places that you put the scales on, because it really matters. Now I'm zeroing the air bubble. So once I finish, I go back to the zero position. I write down the digital reading, the digital angle that I had it, so I don't forget it, and I write down also the height of the strut between the upper cap and the lower cap, because if I want to install the new strut, I want it to be the same height of the coil, so I write it down also. Here you can see I mark the places that I put the digital meter on, so I can put it back once I'm finished. Now I will remove the upper and lower bolts of the stabilizer arm. It's an external box. I will loop again the bolts of the wheel carrier, the hub. Now I'll put the floor jack beneath the lower control arm to raise the lower control arm. This will release the stress on the stabilizer arm and on the hub wheel carrier also bolts, and it will allow me to remove the bolts easily, and it will forbid the front axle to get out from the gear, because if I don't support it, once I dismantle the screws, especially the hub carrier screws, it will get out from the gear. So to avoid this, I'll put it and support it with the floor jack. Here I'm removing the upper bolt of the stabilizer arm. I use the socket and the wrench to hold it. You can see those tools in the video of the front suspension tools. You can see the stress is minimum here. I don't have that much stress, so I don't have to maneuver that much. In the lower nut, it's very difficult, so be patient. It's behind the sway bar. It will take time, but eventually it's the same procedure like the upper. Here I'm finishing the lower bolt of the stabilizer. And And the bolts and the nuts, you don't have to save it because each stabilizer, new stabilizer arm comes with a new nuts, self-threading nuts, so it's not like a big deal. So stabilizer, once it's out, now we release the upper base main nut, couple of three turns only because it's really torqued good and you can't release it on the outside the car. So just fix the center screw and we move the nut 3 turns. This is E12 screws on the side, which gonna be removing or releasing just now after the center bolt. And the main nut here, the center nut, is 22 millimeters. I will remove the cooler tank here just for access. Now with the impact wrench, I'll start removing the lower and the upper hub carriers which are connected to the strut itself. Since I have the floor jack beneath, it will support the axle, so it will forbid it from getting out. If you don't use the car jack, make sure that you support the hub with your knee or with anything that it doesn't come out. You can use the hammer or modify your floor jack to take the bolts out to release the tension on them, but it's easy. It can be easily removed. See, the hub is in place, although I removed both screws, so I'll slowly now release the floor jacks, so it will enable me, after I loosen the upper bolts and the plastic holders, to take the whole strut out. Simple and easy. This I will use just the grip vise and it will get out. Now careful, the holder itself here, the lower part of the strut have the plastic holders for the cables, the ABS and the brake sensor. It has pushing from inside. Just push it so it can be taken out easily. Those holding poles, push it from inside and the whole plastic holder will go out. Keep it because this is integral part which we have to put on the new strut after. For people now who wanna exchange or like renew their struts, we will use the coil compressor here. I will cut a tube of the bicycle tube to cover up the edges of my compressor so it doesn't slip while I'm compressing the coil itself. I will cover it. Unless you have the plastic or the rubber grip on your compressor, you don't have to do this. This is better. It will reduce the scratches on the coil if I want to reuse it, and it will prevent the coil compressor from slipping away, which is the cause of most of the accidents. Just as simple as that. Now, to compress it, you can use manual or impact wrench. Make sure that everything is fit and stable before you start compressing. Now, while I'm compressing the coil, I want to talk about the renewal or buying a new strut. Actually, if you calculate money-wise, it's much easier and cheaper to buy new strut and buy new repair kit. The repair kit comes with all the rubber sleeves and the bearings and the upper base, which is connected here, like it was in the engine bay, the hooks and the screws, and with the new screws. And the new strut will come also with new washer and nuts. The only thing you have to care about is to assemble it, as I'm gonna show you in the second part of this process, assembling and orientation. Otherwise, it's much cheaper to buy new one and new repair kit, new coil which is better because you don't really want to do this again. If you just repair the coil and the strut get busted later. There's also arguments about the strut itself to be one tube or two tubes. They claim that the one tube is better for aggressive driving, but I didn't feel the difference actually. I had the two tubes and then I bought the new one tube and I felt it's the same. It's not a big difference, especially in such small cars. So whatever you like, it's the same process. It's not that big difference. You're not driving a sport car to feel the difference actually. Make sure when you compress it that both sides are aligned. I compress one side and the other side after, so I don't compress one without the other. I try to make it at the same increments. And careful, this is the most dangerous part in the whole. I put the big C-clamp here, just extra caution while I'm releasing the central nut, which will release the whole upper base, which will make the coil, if it's not compressed good, it will make it very dangerous part now. So I will put the C-clamp and the whole strut is on the vice grip on the table. So this is the way. Once I feel that the upper base is free to move, which means that it's safe to take it out. You can see I move it with my finger. There is no pressure from the coil on the upper base. And whatever you need to exchange in the strut, you won't see it unless you really dismantle all the parts. As I have broken upper cup here, you will see it. The bearings, it's still good, everything was still good, but the upper cup even was broken. You can see here the orientation, which I'll put also in the second part. I'll make sure that you put it in the same orientation and the perfect orientation for the Mercedes, how it's supposed to be. So if you are in the process, you can see how the old parts are broken. In the process of renewal and you want to use the coil again, you just can release it slowly. I'm removing the C-clamp now. And make sure you wear gloves in this process because the coil compressor really makes a lot of metal lathe, which can be like small needles getting into the hands. So make sure you have protection on your hands, and it's not a bad idea to have also eye protection. You can see all the old parts are busted. I try to calculate buying a new replacement parts and the new strut, which make me to decide that I will really buy just new strut and new base with the like you will see it in the second part once we start assembling the strut itself. This is the original Mercedes Imperium bearing, which is famous also to be ruined. It have like bearings inside. This is the upper washer. Now I'm just releasing slowly the compression from the spring, one each side, and that will conclude dismantling the front strut on the Mercedes A-Class and B-Class and same Renault. So see you in the second part, and for the meantime, bye bye.